This is the Louie Tee Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime. So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Monday Night Football overtime. Saints, Vikings. Vikings get the win impressively, 29-19 over the New Orleans Saints. Started out slow. Both teams had methodical drives to get this game started, both resulting in field goals. And then the Vikings started to take off in this football game, got the passing game going. They got into a rhythm. Sam Bradford. Teddy who? Teddy what? Teddy who? Y'all better listen about this guy over here, Sam B, holding it down. And I told Vikings fans last year that when they made the trade, it sucks to have to sit in timeout, not having a first-round pick. I've been there, i.e. Robert Griffin III trade. I had to sit for multiple years in the corner, in timeout, facing the wall during the first round. It's not fun. I know. But you want to know what else is not fun? Not being a competitive football team because you don't have a quarterback. Imagine Sean Hill being your quarterback right now. And look, I'm one of the biggest Taylor Heineke fans there is because he went to Old Dominion University, my alma mater. I want to see this young man do well. Imagine Tyler Heineke as your quarterback right now. I'm just telling you, you're not viewed as one of the teams that have a shot at being very good in the NFC this season. That's for certain. I'm just saying, obviously, if you have a first-round pick, maybe you select a quarterback. You're still not in the same position that you're in right now. So bottom line is the trade was worth it. When it was made, I knew that it would pay dividends then. It's paying dividends now. I don't know what Teddy Bridgewater is going to be when he's fully healthy. I don't know if he'll ever be the quarterback that he once was. I don't think he's better than Sam Bradford as a passer. I've already told you that. When the problem has never been Sam Bradford's ability to throw the football. That's never been in question. It's always been his ability to stay healthy. Ask any Rams fan out there. They won't badmouth Sam Bradford as a passer of the football. They'll badmouth him as a guy that couldn't stay healthy in Los Angeles or St. Louis when he was there. And so that'll be the problem, not the guy's ability to throw the football and sling the pigskin around the football field. So thought tonight was not a coming out party. We know who Sam Bradford is. I think we know what his talents are. But I think it was more of a coming out party for that offensive line. Now, again, week one, I've stated this before, and also it's the New Orleans Saints. Their defense, still a work in progress. Doesn't look like it's going to be as bad as it's been, but it doesn't look like it's that much better yet either. So they've got some things to iron out, some kinks to work out. We'll talk about both teams here in a second. But first and foremost, I want to thank you for joining me on this program. Thank you for joining me on Monday Night Football Overtime. And we got a doubleheader tonight. So I'm going to try to wrap this up as quick as possible so we can get back to the game. Most of you are probably doing both, and I appreciate that. If you are, if you're not, and you're watching this on playback, hey, I appreciate that as well. Let's jump into this game quickly. I'm going to start with the Vikings. They were able to get it done. As you can see, they scored in every quarter. Both teams scored in every quarter, but the Vikings had two big quarters, the second and the fourth quarter, to put this game out of reach. And I think it starts where I left off at, which is the offensive line. It was a coming out party of sorts for a brand new group up front. That's been the Achilles heel. And we've seen in week one around the National Football League this week just how important offensive line play is. I think we all know how important offensive line play is, but we've seen some teams struggle mightily at the offensive line positions up front to protect their quarterbacks, and how that is conversely impacted the outcome of games. We saw it in the Redskins game versus the Eagles. We saw it in the Packers game with the Seahawks not being able to protect Russell Wilson and how that impacted that football game. We've seen it all weekend long with teams struggling to protect the quarterback. We saw the Giants have a tough time protecting Eli Manning versus the Cowboys and how that affected them and how inept that offense looked. So Sam Bradford last year and Pat Shurmur and company thought they did a really good job of figuring out a way to just get the ball out of Sam Bradford's hand, which is what we've seen the Giants do with Eli Manning. Just get it out of your hands quickly. We're not going to allow these guys to get beat up front. We're going to get the ball to our playmakers and allow them to make plays. It does limit what you can do offensively, and as you heard them talk about tonight with Sam Bradford, Bradford wanted to push the football down the field. As you saw, they got a ton of chunk plays tonight. You can't do that when you're going nickel and dime, when you're trying to get the football out of your quarterback's hands quickly. Everything's short and underneath, and you're asking your playmakers to make guys miss, and it's tough to go on these 13, 14, 15 play drives. We saw both teams start the game out with double-digit play drives, and what did those result in? Field goals. It's tough in this league to go 13 plays, 75 yards, and score a touchdown. It's tough to go 15 plays, 70 yards, and score a touchdown in this league. And so you need quick strike plays, you need chunk plays, and being able to be protected up front affords you the ability to not only have some opportunities to take some shots down the field and open up and have longer developing routes, which will get you and net you those chunk plays that you're looking for as a play caller. It also allows you to do something the Vikings could not do to save their lives last year. Let's run the football. And we saw Dalvin Cook put up huge numbers in this football game, and it was because that offensive line opened up holes. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. A, it's week one. B, it's New Orleans Saints defense. So, again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. However, they couldn't open up holes against anybody. It didn't matter who the defense was. The Vikings struggled to open up rush lanes against anybody last year. And so to see them do it consistently tonight, that has to speak volumes as to how much better they are up front. The time Sam Bradford was afforded also points to that. And it also has to be a breath of fresh air for Minnesota Vikings fans everywhere watching that unit, because you even felt that they were going to struggle somewhat in the preseason watching them. They didn't seem that cohesive. They didn't seem to be on one accord. And it looked like they were going to have some of the same problems. And that's why the preseason can be misleading. You want to put a little bit of stock in the preseason, but not a whole hell of a lot, because, again, a lot of these guys aren't playing, especially veterans. And guys that have little nicks and bumps and bruises that would probably play regular season time, they're sitting out in the preseason. No need to push it. So, again, this Vikings team looked so much better offensively in this game. I don't think their receivers get enough credit. They called them the no-name group. I don't think that it's that bad in Minnesota like it is in Seattle, where Doug Baldwin is a beast and nobody gives Doug Baldwin the credit that he deserves. I think a lot of people know who Stephon Diggs is. I think a lot of people are starting to learn the name of Adam Thielen. I'm hooked on a Thielen, man. Hooked on a Thielen. Who can it be that? I'm hooked. Hey, look, Adam Thielen is the man. And every time they need a big play, it's either Diggs or it's Thielen. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of Kyle Rudolph, and all of a sudden now this is a ferocious passing attack with the ability to hit you underneath, the ability to stretch you vertically. They've got some stuff. They still got stuff on ice, okay? There was a Jarius Wright sighting tonight. That's always nice. And then Laquan Treadwell showed himself for a catch. And we still don't know what that guy is as a receiver in this league. So they even got stuff on ice that they could potentially use. They've got a number of backs that can give it to you. Latavius Murray did not make a great first impression, fumbling the football on his only carry of the night. He's going to have to clean that up if he wants to see the field and touch the rock more. But I told you, shh, don't tell nobody about the secret weapon known as Jerick McKinnon. You see what that guy brings to the table, not only in the run game, in the screen game as a pass catcher, but also on special teams. We saw him break off a kick return for a touchdown in the preseason, had a nice return tonight as well. So Jerick McKinnon impacting the game more than just a guy in the backfield, a guy that can hurt you on special teams and as a pass catcher as well. So they've got a number of guys that I think offensively give them an edge. And you saw that tonight. They can hurt you in a number of ways. And when Sam Bradford is on like he was tonight, and I've seen this before. I remember 2 preseasons ago, he was with the Eagles. That first year with the Eagles, they played against the Green Bay Packers in a preseason game. And I think he might have went 13 for 13. And the passes that I saw in that game, again, Chip Kelly coming into the league, you're thinking to yourself, why did you just go get Sam Bradford? He doesn't even fit what you do. And yet Sam was on the money. I mean, these passes were Brady Manning-esque. I mean, tight windows, tight fits, on the money, in stride, guys running after the catch, putting the football where, I mean, that throw tonight, I mean, come on, guys, seriously. Seriously, just take your Sam Bradford bias and put it to the side for a second. If you didn't know who was throwing the football, that one throw where he stood tall in the pocket, and this is what I asked Eli Manning to do. Man up, take a shot, stare down the gun barrel, deliver the football. That's what the big boys do in this league, up here. Okay, I know Eli has 2 rings and he can do whatever the hell he wants. However, the big boys do it like this up here in the National Football League. They stare down the gun barrel knowing they're going to take a shot, and they put the football where it needs to be so their receiver can not only make a play on the ball, but run after the catch. That throw to, I want to say it was Diggs. If it wasn't Diggs, it was Jarius Wright. Ridiculous. 2 defenders. You couldn't even see the Viking receiver when he threw the football. And he was getting hit as he released the football. You couldn't even see because the receiver was shielded by a safe defender. One on the top, one underneath. And he squeezed it in there in the perfect location where it had to be exactly for that pass to not only be completed, 1, but 2, to get yards after the catch. Sam Bradford was phenomenal tonight. He was a maestro. Great ball handling on the play action fake that got Diggs wide open for the easy touchdown. He was phenomenal. He did a great job of really orchestrating this offense tonight, being extremely accurate and decisive with the football. I mean, when he sold that play action fake and Diggs came open, that football was out. And I knew a guy had to be wide open because he let it go so quickly. That touchdown to Kyle Rudolph, quick, decisive, he's open, let me hit him so he can get in the end zone. He was decisive and accurate all night long. And if he's going to play like that, if that offensive line is going to stay healthy and play like that, if Dalvin Cook is going to run the football like that, this Minnesota Vikings team could do what they did just 2 seasons ago, and that's win the NFC North division. They're good enough defensively. If they're going to play like that, they're good enough offensively, and they've got a couple of tricks up their sleeve on special teams. So I thought it was a great showing by the offense of this Vikings football team tonight. As we switch gears to the defense of the Vikings, they bent, but they didn't break tonight. I'd like to see them get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. I need more than just the guys off the edge. I love them in the run game. I think Linval Joseph and company are just menaces up front in the run game. But it seems like if it's not Everson Griffin getting pressure off the edge, you sometimes get a little bit of pressure from Danielle Hunter. But if it's not Griffin off the edge, then nobody else is winning, and you're going to have to blitz. And we all know that's not what Zimmer wants to do. Zimmer not really looking to blitz. He much prefer to get pressure with 4, drop 7, and play defense that way. And so he's not opposed to coming with that double A-gap blitz. He'll mug you up your A-gap and confuse you, make it look like those guys are coming, drop them. And then when you think they're dropping, they're coming. He has no problems doing that. But he'd love to just rush 4 and get home with that rush. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that consistently with other than just Griffin. Like I said, Hunter wins sometimes, but I would like to see those guys hit home a little bit more. But as far as the run game is concerned, I thought they were great. They knew that Adrian Peterson was going to want to get the football and want to do something big. They weren't having it. You knew Alvin Kamara, saw him in the preseason. I'm pretty sure they knew of his talents and his ability, and they weren't having any of that. Ingram did get off early, a nice little screen for him, a couple of nice little carries, but they pretty much put him to sleep as well. So I thought he did a great job on the ground. They did allow the Saints to move the football between the 20s, but once they got into the red zone, things bogged down, and that's the trademark of a Mike Zimmer football team. You can move the football a little bit on his defenses, but you're not getting in the end zone, and that's what good teams do. The Patriots will allow you to move the football up and down the field, but every year you look at the Patriots, they're top 10, top 5 in scoring defense. And to me, that's how I gauge a defense. You can tell me, oh, your defense is ranked 22nd in the league because you're giving up 402 yards a game. I don't care about that. How many points are you giving up? That's what I care about. You tell me a team's giving up 379 yards a game, but they're only giving up 19.8 points a game. I'll take that defense all day long because they're not giving up a ton of points. They're winning football games because they're giving their team a chance. And that's what this Vikings football team is all about. You're not going to score a ton of points on them. They gave up 19 tonight against a high-powered Saints offense. Granted, I think that Saints offense is really struggling right now because of the lack of targets out there. I know they still got Michael Thomas, and I love what he brings to the table. I think Kobe Fleener looks a lot more comfortable in the offense and sure of himself right now. But Ted Ginn Jr., you know how I feel about Teddy Ball Game, man. Like, Ted's nice. He's all right, but he's not real, okay? The Lewis guy that comes in, he's a gadget guy. They're trying to get him on jet sweeps, get the ball in his hands quickly, or he's running a 9 route. Like, they're not going to use him as a serious threat as a receiver. He's going vertical when he's in the game if he's not getting the football in the backfield or just being a decoy. They missed Willie Snead. Him being suspended right now really hurts them. He's the new version of Lance Moore. He does the dirty work. He wins on third downs. He keeps the sticks moving. They miss him. And above all else, they miss Brandon Cooks. Like, I don't understand their logic. Every year they do this, it seems like. It was a couple of years ago that they got rid of the Oklahoma receiver that's now in Miami that just signed a new deal with them. And I'm like, why'd you do that? I thought he was a really good deep threat, a guy that could work underneath as well, really good competitor. Why'd you get rid of him? And then a couple of years later, you do the same thing with Brandon Cooks. I just don't get it, but maybe they had more pressing needs along the offensive line. They felt like they needed more assets. And again, when you don't have money, and they knew Cooks was going to be up here shortly, and you want cheap labor, you get talented football players in the first round, and you don't have to pay them a boatload of money. And the Saints, they've been cap-stricken for quite some time now, and so a lot of these moves, I guess they make sense in the grand scheme of things, but from a roster standpoint, they don't make a ton of sense to me. But nonetheless, I digress. This Vikings defense did a great job in the red zone of forcing the Saints to kick field goals. And Drew Brees is one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the red zone. No one throws a better seam ball than he does. We saw one to Fleener tonight, up the seam, 2 defenders, one underneath, one over the top, and he just threw it, And again, with the elite quarterbacks, if they see your numbers, that receiver's open. So Drew Brees never fazed by a defender just being there. And there just wasn't anyone open in the red zone tonight, and that's a testament to this Vikings defense. Thought they were outstanding, and they got the job done. Held a high-powered offense to just 19 points. And in this league, you hold a team to under 20 more times than not, you're going to win that football game, and that's what the Vikings did, getting it done 29-19. You look at it from the Saints' perspective tonight. I thought that early on they tried to make a concerted effort to get all those running backs in the game, and it's going to be an issue all season long because – and I think it was more of an issue tonight for Adrian Peterson because, of course, he's against his former team. It's national television. He wants to show out. He wants to show off. He wants to show them what they're missing, and he just simply didn't get an opportunity really to do that. And he's got to face it, that he's no longer the big man on campus. They're going to be splitting touches, and he's not the type of back that Sean Payton loves to utilize. He likes guys that are versatile, that can catch it out of the backfield, that can be a guy that isn't a tell when he's in the game. When Adrian Peterson's in the game, you know they want to run the football. It's almost like that one receiver that you really don't ever throw the football to when he's in. You know it's probably a run play. That's how it is when Adrian Peterson's in the game. You pretty much know they want to run it here. They can go away from that tell and go away from tendency break by going play action fake with him in the game sometimes, and I expect that to be the case as the season progresses. But more times than not, when he's in, they're going to want to give him the football because he doesn't serve any other purpose when he's in the game. He's not a great pass protector. He's not a great pass catcher out of the backfield. So if he's in the game, you actually are losing an eligible because he's not a guy that you really want to throw the football to. So I think when he's in, they're going to want to hand it to him. And early in the game, they made a concerted effort to try to run the football and be balanced and have everyone getting snaps. And then as the game progressed and as they got into the second quarter, Sean Payton was like, to hell with that. I'm just going to run my offense. And if that means Ingram's in for 5 straight plays, if that means Kamara's in for 7 straight plays, and Adrian Peterson's balking at me as we get to the halftime break, so be it. I feel like they just need to go back to what works for them, and that's just being dynamic, allowing Drew Brees to spread the football around. Look, I understand that Sean Payton at his core wants to be balanced. He wants to run the football. A lot of people think Sean Payton just wants to throw the football all around the field and just allow Drew Brees to go 5 wide, empty sets, and just spread it around. And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have a problem with that. But when they were at their best, they could actually run the football. When Deuce McAllister was there, they would run the football. They've had success in the past running the football. When this team, to me, is at its most dangerous, they can run the football, go play action fake, and allow Drew Brees to stretch the field vertically. And right now, I don't know if they're capable of doing that consistently because the run game isn't where it needs to be. And a lot of that stems from the offensive line. You got injuries everywhere, and you lost Zach Strief tonight. And so that hurts you because really your left tackle should be playing right tackle, and Teron Armstead should be in at left tackle, and that would make your offensive line complete. But because you're playing musical chairs now and guys are going down, it changes the dynamic of what you're able to do on the ground, which then changes what you can call in situations and down in distances. So it just changes what Sean Payton can do schematically with this football team. And I thought the play calling kind of changed once the injury to Zach Strief happened. Guys started getting beat a little bit more often. That changed what they wanted to do. Instead of being able to push it, you saw the plays earlier in the game where they were pushing it vertically. They started to kind of want to throw it down, check down quickly because guys were getting in the backfield a lot faster. They still weren't able to run the football. So, again, all of these things are going to get better. They're going to figure things out. They always do Peyton and Breeze. They're going to get on the same page with these new receivers, Ted Ginn, and all these other guys that they're trying to integrate to this offense. They'll be fine. They'll get Alvin Kamara involved. They'll start to run the screen game, and they'll get dangerous with those guys out of the backfield. But for the time being, life without Cooks, life without Snead for the time being, it's rough, and you saw it tonight. They just couldn't win consistently other than Thomas and occasionally Fleener. They didn't win enough. Now, the short guy, Tommy, whatever his name is, I forget his name, escapes me right now. I think it's Tommy Lee something. He got vertical and got open on that corner route on the first possession. Breeze missed him. Drew knew he just missed an opportunity for 7 there. He hit him on a deep ball later on in the game, and he wasn't able to get free for the touchdown. But other than him right now, I think that's the only guy that, they're looking to get vertical with. But Ted Ginn obviously is a vertical threat. That's been his calling card in this league. And so they'll figure it out offensively. I've spent too much time talking about the Saints offense because I'm not worried about their offense. They got Drew Brees and Sean Payton. They're going to figure it out. So let's talk about this defense because I'm more interested and fascinated with what they're doing on that side of the football than anything on the offense because they're going to figure it out with Drew Brees. Defensively, a lot of new parts, a lot of young guys. And so you want to see these guys come in and make an impact. I think at the linebacker position, they're better. Okay, Klein looks legit. Teo, you don't really want to rely on Manti Teo because you just expect him to get hurt at some point. That's been his MO throughout his career. If he can stay healthy, he was running sideline to sideline. I mean, even though Thielen beat him on the crossing route, on that deep crosser, I was like, wow. I mean, he was running with him step to step. Just a great throw by Bradford to throw him open, and he was able to separate at the catch. But Ateo was right there with him. I mean, these guys have increased the athleticism on this defense, awareness on this defense, because Stephon Anthony is a very athletic linebacker, but just the awareness that these guys bring to the table. I love Alex Anzalone. He looks like a real physical, aware football player. He's going to be a problem at linebacker, and I think they've got some things going. I still feel like you don't apply enough pressure. Cam Jordan is the only guy winning up front, and that's a problem for this football team. It's been a problem. They don't get enough pressure on the quarterback. They didn't stop the run tonight. I thought that was something that they would be a lot better at, but Dalvin Cook wore them down. And even the secret weapon, Jerick McKinnon, got in and got some really good carries off and made some things happen. And then he hurt him in the screen game as well. So I just felt like in this particular game, the Saints defense and one of their corners was just getting roasted out there. Lattimore looks like he's going to be just fine, but the weakness is the guy opposite of him. That's who they went after tonight, and they had a lot of success. And so we'll see what this team does, because I think they're going to be fine at safety with Williams and Kenny Vaccaro. I think they're going to be just fine at the safety position with the guys that they have. My question is at the cornerback position, the slot, the other corner opposite of Lattimore, and can you get pressure on the quarterback? You can't leave those guys in the secondary out to dry. They're not good enough. They need help. They need pressure, and Cam Jordan needs pressure. He needs help. And right now you're asking him to do it by himself, and it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. It hasn't been enough. It won't be enough. And it starts, to me, up front. They got to stop the run. You can't have it be a two-way go. You can't have teams running and throwing the football on you like you did tonight and expect to survive in that division that you play in, where arguably top to bottom is the best quarterback division in all of football. There's not one weak link quarterback in the NFC South division. And if you're going to play lackluster defense like you did tonight and continue to do what you've done over the last few seasons, which is just give it up to teams, you're not going to survive, and you're going to be 7-9 again. And that's what I have you being anyway. But I want to see this defense improve. And we'll see. It's a lot of young football players. It's week one. I'm willing to give them an opportunity to grow in this defensive scheme under DA, and we'll see what happens. But right now, doesn't seem like much has changed with this Saints defense, as Sam Bradford had a field day with this defense. They're physical. They're very physical. They'll hit you in the mouth. Picked up some penalties that I didn't agree with tonight. The only one that I thought was a legit penalty was the Vaccaro penalty on Stephon Diggs, which that was gruesome. That was brutal. He looked like on the NFL tape, if they have a tape that shows what not to do, they would show that play. Literally, he came with the forearm and the crown of his helmet. He's probably going to get fined for that. There'll be a pink slip in his locker on Wednesday and a FedEx package. So other than that, though, this is a physical defense, but right now they're just not making enough plays to help out this Saints offense. So with that being said, let's get to your comments, see if you have anything to say, and then we'll move on to this Monday night game. See what we got. All right. LL says, Saints defense sucks. Either that or the Vikings offense is better than we thought. It's a little bit of both. I think the Vikings offense is better than we thought, more so than the Saints defense sucks. I think the Saints defense is a work in progress. We knew that their defense wasn't very good going into the season. The expectation was the defense wasn't very good, that they were better. Like I had a nice laugh at the graphic they showed. 2016 numbers and then preseason numbers from 2017. Are you kidding me? Are you comparing the regular season to the preseason? And a small sample size like the preseason? Really? Like, I thought that was a joke. Like, why would you even show that? Like, get out of here with that nonsense. So, they looked better in the preseason. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's the preseason. Like, I don't know what they were expecting. Bottom line is, this Vikings offense, if the offensive line is going to protect Sam Bradford, they're going to be better than people expected them to be. So I'd err on the side of that more so than the Saints defense sucks, because I think the expectations were rather low for the Saints defense coming into the season. So we'll see. Nick Riley says, as I said before the game, missing persons alert. No sign of Michael Thomas today. Source says if found, Saints will give tryouts for secondary. I can confirm this. Michael Thomas made a couple of catches tonight. Nothing, hugely impactful, but he made a couple of catches in the football game. But, they struggled as a whole offensively to put the football in the end zone. So, Nick Riley says, best offensive Vikings game I've seen in about 3 years. Put up more points than you expected tonight. Thought Mack was in the slot was fantastic today. They didn't really. I don't think they have anybody that can exploit the slot right now. I want to see them play. I want to see you guys play up against somebody that can freak them in the slot, and then we'll talk about Mack and if he's actually back, young Scrappy. I don't think he's the OG master. I don't think he is. So we're gonna find out if he's able to hold it down in the slot. He was good at, because the slot was pretty quiet tonight, eerily quiet, crickets actually. So I thought he did hold it down, and I will say this was a really good offensive showing by the Vikings. Sam B, man, trying to tell y'all, like Mahalia trying to tell y'all. Nick Riley says, love what I saw from the defense as a whole. Brought a lot of pressure on Breeze, but hell, Lou, shit ain't new. That's what we do. I thought they got pressure on Breeze, but I'd actually like to see more pressure on the quarterback. I thought they did some good things, but there were opportunities for Breeze to make some plays and make some throws, and he just missed. So Stephon Diggs was outstanding tonight, though. I don't know if I mentioned that enough. I should have. Him and Thielen were just outstanding. I love Stephon Diggs. Swag Dizzle for me is one of the hidden gems in this league. I wanted the Redskins to draft him. I'm still upset about that right now, even though the Redskins got Jamison Crowder and he's been outstanding for us. Stephon Diggs is the man. I love that dude. I love his swag. I love his toughness. I love his ability to go up and make plays on the ball. That catch in the end zone, come on, man. Stop. That catch leading up to the catch in the end zone where he took that forearm shiver from the safety. Come on, man. Stop. Stephon Diggs is ridiculous, man. Love that dude. Black Al B says, hey, Louie, our receiving core is the shit. Adam, Mr. Hands Thielen, Diggy, Rudolph the Red Zone Reindeer. As long as our O-line hold up, we legit. Nick Riley said, not a bad first day on the job for Dalvin Cook, breaking AP's most yards by a rookie running back in the first game. Not at all. I thought that he was phenomenal in this game. All the guys that Black Al B listed, I listed them earlier as playmakers in this offense. They got some stuff in Minnesota. Again, the offensive line is the key, because Sam Bradford, when given time, can distribute the football. He can distribute with the best of them. And so it's not a surprise to me. If he gets time, he can be pretty lethal. Cloud says, Cook did really good for his debut. Bradford did pretty good as well. Definitely. He was outstanding. Nick says, Bradford, 27 of 32, 346 passing yards, 10 yards of throw, 3 touchdowns, extremely poised in the pocket, delivering strikes on the money. Yeah. You still down with Teddy B? I don't know, Nick. Are you? Yeah, you know me. I'm down with Sam B. That's my homie. So you let me know what's good. I hear a lot of Sam Bradford cheering over there, pumping the fist. I know you was a big Teddy B guy. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Black Al B says, I don't want to hear no more shit talk about Bradford. Boy can ball. I've been telling y'all that since you traded for him, man. I've been telling y'all that for a long time. Anyway, been telling people Bradford never had an offensive line. Give this man time to throw. He would take the top off of defense, Saints secondary or not. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but it looks good. You want that confidence to be built that that's what he's capable of. But yeah, you damn right it matters. You wouldn't do that to the Giants defense. You wouldn't do that to some of the better secondaries in the league. But I still think you would be able to score on them, just like the Cowboys were able to move the football last night. But in any event, man, it's awesome. Couple of bonehead mistakes like that face mask and holding call that they called on Mike Remmers was the effing worst call I've ever seen. Clearly a clean block. Yeah, those kind of plays happen. I saw a lot of fishy calls this week with the officials. It's week 1. These things tend to happen. But, yeah, it was an outstanding game. Stick118 says the Saints have bad management. I don't love what they've been doing in the front office over the last 4 years or so, we'll call it. And so, I think that they've done some really questionable things, made some questionable decisions. Obviously, they've done them for specific reasons. I think most of them, if not all of them, monetarily and fiscal reasons. But it's hard to run your team when you're in the hole financially. When you make moves because of money, you make some really, really questionable decisions. They tell you don't draft for need because you make bad decisions and you reach on players. I feel the same way about getting rid of players for money issues. But again, you got to do what you got to do. You got to get under the cap. You got to, plan for the future. And I think that's what the Saints have been doing. Nick said, love what I saw from Mac Alexander. Told you this man was for real. Held his own. Huge swat down on a 3rd and goal. Man is a future lockdown nickel cornerback. I'm not sold yet, man. I got to see more from this dude. I don't think the Saints got a legit slot right now. So I wonder if he was playing up against Willie Snead, maybe I'd give him a lot more love tonight. But I can't even tell you who was running the slot tonight for the Saints. So I got to see more. Nick Riley says, when they going to learn not to try to run on Zimmer's defense? Basic football rule 101, don't test Zimmer. Hey, Zim, like I said, you're not running on the Vikings for the most part. I think you can throw on them, but I'm not confident you can run on them consistently, especially when they know what's coming. And I thought that they were extremely predictable tonight, were the Saints. So Nick Riley also says, when they're going to give my boy Adam Thielen the credit he deserves for ever sleeping on this man? I love Thielen, man. Like I said, I'm hooked on a Thielen, man. This dude, all he does is ball. That's it. Every time I see him, he's making plays. That's it. That's all. That's it. And so he's going to get the credit he deserves from me. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know what the young man's out there doing. And so I think he's outstanding. And they got some stuff, like I said, in Minnesota already. I've stressed this a ton. Dark Sealer 1995 says, I think AP and his New Orleans are a bad relationship. New Orleans are a pass-happy offense, and he wants to run the rock a lot. They signed him to run the ball. He had less than 10 carries. I don't get it. They already told him, and this was the thing. They told him when they signed him, hey, bruh, you're going to platoon with these other backs, and you may not get the rock as many times as you want. You sure you want to sign? He's like, I ain't got no other offers. Ain't nobody else beating down my door to sign me. All right, we let you know. So we'll see what happens. I think they're going to have some issues, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was tonight. I think he really wanted to show out tonight. It's a little disappointed because he wanted to show his old team what they were missing, and he really didn't get a chance to do that. Dark Sealer 1995 says, I think Sean Payton has overstayed his welcome. You got to hold the coach responsible when he's been in a position as long as he has with an elite quarterback, and they still have the same problems. It's a little deeper than that. I think he is responsible for some of the issues on his team, but I think it's more front office than it is him. A lot of what you're seeing from that football team in terms of the roster being overturned the way that it was, that's more of a front office thing. So we'll see. The Black LB says, has Diggs earned respect on his name? Absolutely, man. That guy is a beast. I was talking him up when he was a rookie, man. I mean, like I told you, I wanted him coming out of Maryland, so you know how I feel about him. Nick says, shh, don't tell nobody about this secret weapon Jet. One thing about him that bothered me today, was I thought he tried to take too many deep kick returns out. When you bust off a 100-yarder in the preseason, it gives you the confidence. And I remember Cordero Patterson used to do the same thing because I think he had the green light. Because when you've shown the ability to break off a $1.8, a $1.6, a $1.5 for a score, you start thinking at any point I can break it. And so I think he feels like I can do this. I can bust off a $1.3, a $1.5, and sometimes there's something to be said about just taking the ball at the 25. But you know how that goes sometimes. Black LB says, Teddy B forever, baby, but Bradford's in the driver's seat for now. That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement for me, man. I need you to pick. I need you to choose. Nick Roddy says, hell, Lou, I told you, man, before the season we should trade Teddy for a first or second round pick. You know damn well you ain't getting. You did say that. But I told you, you know damn well you ain't getting a first nor a second for Teddy's ass if he was healthy, let alone damaged goods. You know better than that, Nick. Fire Breather 719 says, what's your thoughts on rookie Pat Elflein's debut? I thought he was outstanding. Pat Elflein was one of the best. I told you I thought he was the best center in the draft. I know a lot of people liked Ethan Posick. I was a Pat Elflein guy. He actually surprised me with his athleticism tonight because I knew he could move in short, tight spaces. I didn't know he could get out like he did on that screen pass. He was 30 yards down the damn field. So he showed me something there. I think he's very technically sound. I thought he was the most technically sound offensive lineman. This goes for tackle, guard, irregardless of position along the offensive line. I thought he was the most technically sound offensive lineman in the entire draft. And that's why he's getting the nod day one for this Vikings football team, because he's a guy that sets great angles. On that run up the field by the secret weapon, Jerick McKinnon, he got up to the safety, up to the linebacker or the safety, 6-7 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and was the kickout block to get McKinnon up there and for that 12 to 15 yard gain. I thought he's phenomenal tonight. Blackbird Blitz says, Nick and Knight talking reckless. They're going to see the Dirty Birds secondary this year. Lockdown coverage coming. Love the trash talk. And Dark Sealer 1995 says, I think they are overusing Drew Brees. His arm looks tired during the later weeks of the season. They need to run the ball more so that his arm can rest a little. He's 39, not 30 anymore. That is the thought process behind bringing in Adrian Peterson, but you got to be able to run block in order to make that work. And right now, they're not doing a great job of that, and some of that has to do with the injuries up front along the offensive line. So, in any event, that's going to do it for Monday Night Football overtime. Game number 1. We'll be back to do it yet again for game 2. Chargers and Broncos, AFC West, family business. You know how the family do it. So I'm going to let you guys slide, watch that. I'm going to glide to the side, let you check this game out, and then we'll reconvene at this game's conclusion and talk Chargers and Broncos and wrap up week number 1. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie Tee Network. Come back and join your man Louie Tee as I break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Vikings with a very impressive 29-19 victory over the New Orleans Saints in game 1 of the Monday night doubleheader on ESPN. I'll see you at the second game's conclusion. Have a good one. I'll see you later. Enjoy the game.
Okay, pizza, check. Cold drink, check. New Jersey, check. Louie Tee Network, check. Okay, I'm ready, let's go. Yeah, I'm so happy football back on.